J Fortune Sports Club, Florida, locked in. This is Florida Citrus Sports, the high school football media day, and there's sharks in the water. Coach, talk to the people, talk to my members that may not be familiar with Atlantic. See what you guys got going on.
Atlantic is transitioning into year 30 and competing in varsity football. The school was opened in 1994. 95, they began their inaugural season, going on year 30, hence why the hashtag Team 30. We're located in Port Orange, Florida, on Reed Canal.
Talk to me about your culture.
Culture. All right. Considering I got the job 10 days prior to spring football, that obviously sets me behind in terms of probably anybody in the state of Florida, with the exception of a team, I think, in Brevard. I don't necessarily recall, but one of my primary goals, I'm a son of a military general. I'm originally from South Sudan, General Juma Kosei Thomas, who fought and led to our independence on July 9th in 2010. So I'm big on discipline. I was raised a military child, and one of the biggest things for me was, not stating that, they lacked in structure and discipline prior to that, but they might have had a structure and discipline of a previous head coach. And with me at the helm, I wanted to solidify and implement my structure and discipline. As Mr. Miyagi has, wax on, wax off with Daniel's son. I tell these boys all the time, if I can't teach you to pick up a broom and a mop and keep your area clean, characteristic traits that you can take with you and be successful in the world long after football, then the X's and O's side of it doesn't matter. So early on, I sought to establish structure and discipline, teaching them characteristics like empathy, compassion, kindness, humility, amongst themselves as teammates, and teaching them better ways to lead, and implement those characteristics within the school community and also within their respective communities. And so early on, we did a lot of mat drills. We did a lot of discipline training. We probably didn't even touch a football. And you can ask some of these guys, it was tedious things that they consider tedious, but now, we're so far ahead in the process that they're starting to see the value in it. It was kind of, hey, when I blow this whistle, sit on your butt. When I blow this whistle, stand up. When I blow this whistle, roll out, and they get it now. And coming in, relationships, man. People talk X's and O's all the time. Relationships are established and maintained through trust. And my biggest thing was earning their trust and them, me earning their trust.
Got the Sharks moving militant.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. What drew you to football?
What drew me to football? It's a funny story, man. I immigrated to the States at 8 years old. Grew up in San Diego, California. And early on, man, I was a churchgoer, raised in the church, and met a guy by the name of Daniel. His son Vinny and I were around the same age, and he kind of was looking for, kids who wanted the extracurricular activities, so got a lot of assistance from the church community. My pastime was no longer, sitting at home and trying to figure out something to do. It was, Danny picking me up, taking me to soccer practice, and I played AYSO travel ball with the San Diego Crusaders. I was a defender, and I played a very aggressive style of soccer, obviously, past trauma, full of it. That was an outlet from me. I slid tackle aggressively, I bumped aggressively, and, generated a lot of red cards, and funny story, actually. I grew up watching the San Diego Chargers, Natron Means, Doug Flutie, Junior Seau, and many more, Rodney Harrison, and many more, man, and LaDainian Tomlinson, Lorenzo Neal. I kind of gravitated towards that because, I saw an opportunity, not only to, continue to play an aggressive style, but do so and get away with it. Expressing some of that emotions based off of trauma out on the streets, books you a bid to the jail.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm like, I could assault somebody and get away with it. And so football was an outlet. I gravitated towards that, and I also grew up watching Reggie Bush and Alex Smith down at Helix High School. I mean, I had the pleasure to do that, man. So I was always around football, and finally I made the transition. I remember my first year playing football, played at about 160 pounds. Got the crap knocked out of me by a Samoan kid, and you know how big Samoans are. So for me, man, it was just kind of, like, all right, something's got to go. And, I gave up soccer, and I recall that day my dad was absolutely livid, man. I remember him coming to my soccer games, and I would score goals and go run down, go give him a high five. When I made that transition, he thought I was giving up something I was good at. But, as we sit here, God rest his soul, Dad, I think I made you proud, because, I went on to play at Syracuse University and had a stint with the Philadelphia Soul in the Arena Football League. And now, injury related, not injury permitting me not to be able to play the game anymore. The knowledge that I've acquired, I'm fortunate enough to have been mentored by Tyrone Wheatley as my running backs coach. Doug Marone was my head football coach. Nathaniel Hackett was my offensive coordinator, and Greg Atkins, successful O-line coach at South Carolina, was my offensive line coach. So that knowledge that I've acquired, I can't take it with me when I pass. So, got to transition and pass it on down to the youth.
Yes, sir. Well, you can pass down is that license to violence.
Absolutely.
So tell me about the young man you have in the room with us tonight.
Well, I'll start first and foremost with the one I like to speak. Yeah. This kid I'm telling you, he's an ox.
I want no part.
I'm telling you, I had a 7-on-7, probably the first event of its kind in Central Florida, maybe across the state of Florida. 7-on-7 invited Spruce Creek, Seabreeze, Trinity Christian out of Deltona. And I think it was the first 7-on-7 big man challenge under the lights. And, he walked away, impressive. Those numbers are probably so much high. The guy did 225 20 times and stopped.
Huh?
20 times, 20 reps of 225 on a bench and stopped. That was part of the big man challenge. And, I counted in the weight room prior to me implementing our off-season training program. He hit it about 23, 24 times. And, he's been working hard for the last 6 weeks. I believe when we test again next Friday before we officially launch, I'm looking for that number to increase probably into the 30s.
Coach, sir, can you come here for a minute? Can you come around this side? just come right here. See that camera? Just give him a flex real quick. All right, that's Atlantic. Thank you, sir. We'll be with you in a minute. Yeah. If I was you, I'd be looking forward to the season.
Amen. I'm excited, man. He plays the nose for us. He's a two-gap player. I consider him a war daddy. Has an incredible motor. He's dropped a few pounds, has increased his motor by increasing his level of conditioning. I'm real excited, man. He's a two-way starter. I'm looking to pull him on some counters, some traps, and some powers, and then just unleashing the Haitian Rhino. Absolutely.
Big Z. You
yes,
feel me?
Sir. Yes, sir.
I feel that. I look forward to, I really want to get to talking. Last thing I'm going to ask you, Coach, before I let you go, leadership, especially when you have a young program, especially when you're building a culture from the ground up.
Yeah.
Just give me some pointers on what you look for.
Well, I mean,
what get you excited?
If you can backtrack, I stated that I was the son of a military general, so and I'm not a stranger to leadership traits, leadership qualities and characteristics, and so for me, man, I know everybody kind of does it who's part of a successful program. I myself, having coached down in Louisville, Kentucky at Louisville Moore, led them to 3 straight district titles, 2 regional championship appearances, and got a guy that till this day gives me a call, and J.J. Weaver, starting outside linebacker at UK, probably All-American, probably gonna be a first-round draft pick. You leave a lasting impression. People in successful programs, what I did with my programs in the past, I'm going on 14 years of coaching, was solidify a senior leadership council. And once we established that senior leadership council, one can appoint leaders, but how are you going to teach these young men how to lead? And that comes down to the characteristics, you stated, and what gets me excited. I'm looking for, I'm African, and I'm big on the African proverb, speak softly but carry a big stick. And the guys that are jaw jacking, I have no problem with it, but I prefer guys that are herding sheep from the front instead of the back. Finger pointing and telling them what to do when they're not holding themselves accountable first and foremost. So one of the biggest things I do, I have this manual that I inherited actually from going to a summit, leadership summit, man. And I'm gonna start going over this with them. We're launching our senior leadership council on Monday, and a lot of guys, their kids rush into the locker room, hurry up, get dressed, transition to the field. Well, they just had about 7 hours of school. How are you prepared to, kind of unwind them and kind of set expectations and things of that nature? Well, my guys come in, man, and they sit in the locker room. I meet with my staff first and foremost. All right, I'm going to pull the senior leadership council in, all right, because at the end of the day, the more I implement them and encourage them to lead, the more stress and load is lifted off of my shoulder, and we can focus on the things that matter, because they'll start herding the sheep and leading the young guys. So for me, man, and then we line up 2 by 2, march to the field, and it's business.
Sharks in the water.
Asking you to change yourself, change your ways, be yourself. But, there's a time and a place for everything.
The Sharks are in the water, ladies and gentlemen.
Amen.
Be safe and God bless.
Done.
Thank you, Coach.
Absolutely.
Go ahead and head that way. Sir, 55. Zoe.
Big Z.
Introduce yourself to the members that may not be familiar. Well, they're familiar now because, but give them the rundown.
My name is Winder Altenor. I play offensive line and defensive line, and I graduated class of 2025. And that's basically it.
How did your family respond to you choosing football?
So in my family, football was already really a thing.
Okay.
And basically a tradition. So I just fell in line and followed afterward. My cousin got me into this. I just fell in love with it ever since. So it's just been really a big part of my life, and what really keeps me going on, and just the love of the game.
Absolutely. How would you describe your playing style? How do you hone your craft? Who are some of your inspirations?
Well, one of my inspiration is Fletcher Cox. I used to play in the NFL, and I just love being physical, and as my coach said before, being aggressive and getting away with it and everything. And
getting away with it is crazy. Yeah.
That plays a big factor, and it's like therapy to me. And just one thing, I can just go to the field and get off my mind off of whatever happened, put any stress that I have had on the field, and then just play like that.
Football is an interesting sport because winning is one thing, but when you're not winning, it's something called adversity. And I feel like adversity forces us to grow in ways that really there's no other sport I can compare it to. So from last year to this year, what growth have you seen in your own game for you personally as a player that has kept you at Atlantic?
So my growth that I've seen is it's just only made me hungry and harder just to win more and achieve greater things and stuff. Just giving me more motivation to work even harder, even though let's say we're losing and stuff and starting in our own head. Only just give us some more encouragement to keep going harder and stuff.
What personal goals do you have for this season?
My personal goals is to make a big impact on our defense and get more tackles and sacks, basically.
Violence.
Yes, sir.
That's fair. Give me some shout outs before we roll out.
I can shout out anybody.
Just give you shout outs, man.
Shout out to my girlfriend, Jordan. Shout out to my team, Shark Nation. Shout out to my mama. Shout out to my whole family.
Hey, Sharks in the water, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure.
Hand on the game, we are not playing the same. No, we not looking to change. Hand on the wheel, they think we lacking the drive. Boy, you should stay in your lane. Foot on the gas, I do not care if I crash, long as I stick to the plan.